Hello everyone, Chris here, and welcome back to Guvsk, our planned socialist modernist utopia of a city. And thank you once again for joining us in this Let's Build series. I'm really enjoying myself making Guvsk. I know that it's been a bit sporadic in terms of videos, and for that I am sorry. They've not been quite as regular as I'd like. But I really do enjoy spending a bit of time making these videos, going to real efforts to make the city how I think it should look. I will be honest, the amount of times I've built something, recorded the footage, and then absolutely hated it and torn it down have been numerous. And so what you do see when I do put out a video is generally something that I'm quite happy with, and today's no different really. I know in the last video we mentioned that we would be working on the commercial zone of the city next, and that is definitely coming. With that in mind, what I started to do was look at the various assets that are on the workshop and things that I thought were missing, and I made a list and I started working on buildings in Blender, my own creations. Now I think I've said before, the creations that I've made on Blender, they're alright. They're not probably workshop standard. I'm not going to put them up for download because they take up a lot of processing, and I don't know how to make LODs and all this stuff. Someone's going to need to talk me through it, I think, one day. But so I've been making my own buildings, and I've got a lot of buildings set ready for the commercial zone that I'm quite happy with. But then, whilst looking through all my various books on Soviet architecture and all that stuff, one thing I kept coming across was Palace of Sports, or big sports arenas within the former Soviet Union. Really interesting, huge buildings, in fact, that serve the purpose of housing big sporting events. And I got sidetracked and started making one of those on Blender. And the end result was me going off the commercial zone, which was my next target, and creating what you're seeing now, a Palace of Sports, the Vladimir I. Lenin Palace of Sports here in Guvsk. The building itself, which you'll see in a moment, I'm really happy with. But what I've done using the procedural objects mod, as you can see, is create this raised base, because I like the idea of these big monumental buildings in the city sitting a little bit above the rest of the street line. It's something that I've seen in the various Google Street View looks I've done of various planned out cities. These big main buildings sitting a few steps above everything else. So I spent a little bit of time doing just that, making this raised platform, trying to get all the foundations in line, trying to make it look prim and proper. One thing that I do, which you don't see because I cut that footage out, was I start it facing the houses, the residential zone in one of the micro districts. I do rotate it so that it does face directly onto the giant roundabout that we built in the last episode. So I think almost unintentionally now, even though we've planned out the city, what's happening is around this roundabout we're building collections of quite monumental buildings in the city, which is nice. It makes this nice central area away from the welcoming square that we built. And this is the building itself that I'm really quite proud of. I know, I'm sure there are people who make better assets than me, and that is fine. I turned the building itself into a procedural object so that we can move it around, and actually procedural objects, I think we've said this before, procedural objects mod turns, I don't know the technical terms for it, but it basically means that it's not a real item within the game, and so it doesn't affect your game's frame rate. I don't get how it works, but it's wonderful because, as I've said before, my computer isn't the strongest, and so anything I can do to help that frame rate along is wonderful. But then it's all about decoration, and as you know, decoration is something that I absolutely adore spending time on. We create these grassy patches surrounding it with the peaking wall that I've used throughout this city, and eventually you'll see, decorate it with trees. We will pave this area. I'm really quite happy with how this all turns out. So as the footage rolls on, as we put these trees down, the real question is, what are you enjoying about this series? I know we're not making regular episodes, but I would hope that people who are watching it are getting something out of this. And as always, I'm always looking for suggestions and ideas for what to build next. We do have our initial list of things we're going to build. We're going to build a little amusement area. We're building the commercial zone. We've got more micro districts to build. I've actually started working on assets to build a young pioneers camp along the riverside, because I think that'll be pretty cool. Making like space age looking huts for the young pioneers to sleep in. Things like that. I'm looking forward to building stuff like that. The one thing I would say is I'm desperate to avoid I know saying this is going to sound ridiculous, but I'm desperate to avoid cliches with a Soviet build. Like, I don't want to. I know that we've got ample statues and Soviet and Lenin is everywhere and all this stuff, but I'm keen to avoid like references to gulags and I don't know. Like, I'm keen to avoid that, because whilst this, historically, obviously those things existed, I'm wanting this to be more of a positive portrayal of a planned city, the process behind planning a city, I guess. That's why it's also not photorealistic city. One, I'm not very good at doing photorealistic cities, but as well, this is an idealized plan, and so whilst obviously it's within the limitations of City Skylines, I'm wanting this to be the most idealised form, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. With that then in mind, what would you suggest we build in this city? I am happy to try my hand at making anything in Blender, as you will no doubt see. And we do have a few other little bits and bobs asset-wise that I've made that will be making an appearance in here. But what type of things would you want to see? What type of things, I don't know, exist in such cities? We've been really lucky in that in the comment sections in previous videos, people who live in such cities as this, or in cities where the former Soviet bloc or the allied countries there, within planned cities within there, we've had people comment on this videos and suggest things that can make it more realistic, things that we're doing well. Gosh, if anyone is watching and that fits you, suggest stuff to me, because I love hearing what we're doing right. Even better, I love hearing what can be improved upon. I'm desperate to make this I don't want to say realistic, but at least a faithful portrayal of what a planned city in the Soviet times would be. I've not spoken much about what we're actually doing in terms of design. Forgive me on that front. I've put down this building then. It's really interesting looking. It's actually a subway station. But I think it looks beautiful to make this sort of outside cafe. And that's kind of what I've done. I put down these tiles to create this patioed effect. We put down tables to sit outside. We put down a few little cafe stalls as well, and create this nice looking area. At least I think it's nice in my opinion. Bollarding it off to define it, and eventually, as I always do, surrounding it with trees, because that's what makes a good area apparently in my head. But as well then, I also take some out to create a gateway, because it has to logically make sense. How do people get in there? And I think it looks quite nice. you'll see as well then, just there, I've got a load of assets where it's in the Russian language, signs in the Russian language, sorry. I don't end up putting them in here because I don't think it fits, but I will look for a place in the commercial zone to put some more of these signs. Finishing up with detailing this area then, it's the Vladimir I. Lenin Sports Palace, so of course we have to have mosaics of the man himself on the pillars of the place. I've also built, I don't know what you'd call them, I've called them propaganda boards, these pillars which hold communist propaganda. Which I use around here, and of course, as you're seeing on the screen now, the flag of the Socialist Republic of Imaginarium itself, the flag that has been, God, with me for so long now, with banners as well, banners hanging up to really ram home the patriotic pride of our socialist nation. But yeah, the propaganda boards themselves, you'll see in a minute, I'm quite happy with how they've turned out. They were based off images that I'd seen of Pripyat before the nuclear accident, and they're very interesting. They just have a set of posters on them, and I've put them around the ground area of this sports palace, and benches as well. We just decorate things with the usual flower boxes, benches, just to make everything that little bit more detailed, to make it more realistic to what would be around a building such as this. And hopefully you'll see by the cinematics at the end that it's a nice looking building. As I say, I'm really proud of it, and I hope you like it as well. I spent a lot of time making it, a lot of time making the building, and a lot of time putting it into the game here, and I'm proud of how it turned out. Well, we're really at the end of this video. The cinematics will be coming up at the end, so I appreciate you staying around to watch them. But let me know what you think. Let me know, firstly, if you like the building, and if anyone knows how to make LODs properly for assets on Blender, let me know, because I will happily put something like this up on the workshop, even if it gets horribly downvoted. I'd happily share it with people if you wanted it. But yes, let me know. Let me know what you like about this part of the city. Let me know what we can improve. Let me know what else you'd like to see built. I will let you go in a minute so you can watch the cinematics. But as always, I really do appreciate you sticking around and watching these videos. Your interactions with me always means a lot. I try and answer. In fact, I make a point of answering every comment that someone takes the time out to write. This is the final result. I hope you agree. It's decent looking. As always then, thank you for taking the time to watch the video. If you like what we do, press like. If you would like to see more, please consider subscribing to us. And until the next Guvsk video, whenever that may be, thank you for your time. I'll hope you all stay safe out there, and thanks once again. I'll speak to you guys soon.